Hey everyone, I know you're used to hearing Cam's voice in the intro, but I'm taking over on this one just because I am sort of the connector between today's two guests of Energy Captain Season 2. And I knew when I met each of these human beings that not only were they so special and game changers and superstars in their own right, but they had to meet, they had to know each other. It's like when you know stars are aligning and there's just going to be like world combustion when they meet and like domination and takeover. That's how I feel about these two guests today. So obviously we have our co-host, Cameron Lynch, who's fresh off a red eye. So thanks for staying awake for us instead of napping. And then we're super excited to welcome Gator grad, Patric Young.
What's going on? Thank you for that awesome introduction. It's awesome to be here.
Of course, we're so happy to have you. And I'm very lucky that I've, met you through working on Campus Legends. So before we dive into your story, do you want to tell everyone just a little bit about what Campus Legends is about and what your role is?
Yes. So Campus Legends is an officially licensed collegiate digital collectible company. I know the word NFT goes around a lot, but anything can become an NFT. But we are specifically only exclusively involved with collegiate sports from now and forever. Campus Legends will only be focused on doing digital collectibles, representing current student athletes and alumni at their respective schools. We want to represent every single athlete at a school. I am the head of business development, and my role is to outreach to the universities to tell them what we're doing and the vision we have for their athletes and how we're striving to create this opportunity for every single one of their athletes to have forever. This world is continually going more digital. We don't know exactly where it can go, but if it can be anything like how Bitcoin was a little bit, people didn't know about it in the early on stages, and now it's a huge thing. We're really hopeful that this Campus Legends and the NFT sphere will blow up as well.
Awesome. And I have to brag on you a little bit. We were together last week in person and you had a business development meeting. And as you were telling a particular school about what Campus Legends offers, you actually made the person cry because you touched her so deeply with the story. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and what it was that brought tears to her eyes?
Yeah, so that's one part of the company that makes us so different. As we want to build our brand recognition and just, obviously dominate the market or just, have it so we are a household name in the tech world. One thing that we're doing that separates us from everybody else is that for current student athletes, we're taking 5% out of our gross revenue out of our portion and putting that into what we call the 5 for All. And it's a 5 for All fund of 5% of that gross revenue that does not affect what the student athletes in the school will make on their royalties. This 5% fund will divide up equally that fund to every student athlete at that particular school that is on the Campus Legends marketplace. So if there's 100 student athletes on and there's $100,000 in that fund by the end of the quarter, that will be divided. Doesn't matter what sport you play, swimmer or diver, quarterback one, on the bottom of the depth chart. If you are represented as a student athlete on our marketplace at your school, you qualify for that 5% for all fund. And then on the philanthropic side for the alumni athletes, we've partnered with the Campus Legends Helping Hands Foundation, where we do something similar with that 5% out of gross revenue. But that money is going to help a hurting athlete from that school as well. If there's an athlete that's fallen into hard times in life, on a nomination internal basis amongst that group of people at the school, respect as well as those athletes on the marketplace, we will allocate funds to strive to help athletes that, for whatever reason, it could be financial hardship, it could be need of some type of dependency help, it could be medical bills. It's not limited to what it can be, but it's really awesome that we're intentionally taking parts of our revenue and putting those in places that help just with opportunity and helping actually change lives.
Well, I love that. My passion is at the intersection of sports and making a world a better place. So I love businesses that use their platform to improve lives and change lives and want to make the world a better place. And also, as someone who played sports for the post-game snacks, I appreciate that I would still qualify for the Five for All fund, and that you don't have to necessarily be the best on the team, which is usually what happens to create an opportunity. And the awesome part is, like, someone like Cam, who played football at Syracuse, is still eligible to work with Campus Legends because he's an alumni of the school. But Cam, I'm curious, if you were playing right now and had this type of opportunity, how would it have affected your life to be able to make revenue and be part of this whole NIL world while you were a student athlete?
Yeah, I think I would have been businessman Cam a lot sooner, right? I think as athletes, we have to take on that business mentality early at a young age. I remember my mom and I creating my own highlights, sending my highlights to coaches and everything like that. And so we pretty much started a process of a business of branding and advertisement, right, for myself. And so really continuing that. If I knew about this stuff, I would have continued that at the high school level, into college, into the pros, and until now. So it's really cool that it's coming out now. And I'm glad that now that I have my MBA, and I know Patric has jumped into that master's group as well, that we'll be able to pour our resources and pour just ourselves into this space and help the athletes that are coming up.
Awesome. And I remember you talking at one point about how during holidays, at school, the cafeteria was closed. And so what would that extra revenue have done for your life? Or what do you think you would have spent it on, for current student athletes? Where are their gaps where they could really use some extra spending cash?
Yeah, I think a lot of athletes can relate to this. I think it was in 2011. I was at Syracuse, 11 through 15. Our basketball team was jumping, but I know Patric and them was winning some chips too. And I remember, I think it was Shabazz Napier, I believe he was at UConn. We were in the Big East at the time. And he made a comment about him being super hungry. And when this young man is generating so many viewers, right, to watch Big East basketball, to watch UConn play and watch him, knock down shots, the fact that he's going hungry is kind of crazy. So we did see a jump in just stipends in regards to when we're on campus, when nobody's on campus during the Christmas times, right? It's snowing at Syracuse 8 to 12 months out of the year, and literally no one's on campus and we're starving. Or even in the summer times, we're doing drills and we had to get peanut butter jellies and fruit snacks because that's the only thing that the budget can cover. So I do think that we would have been, way better off if we had opportunities like this. So I know Patric too. We would love to hear some of the stories just from your college days as well, and kind of the things that you went through and how this could have benefited you as well.
Well, it just is insane. Speaking of Shabazz Napier, you got an all American point guard for a national championship team it looks terrible, obviously, for the NCAA, and they're going to respond. But in the sense of just not being able to take care of your daily needs, like the program or the NCAA went from one extreme to another. Like, you can't catch a ride if you need to go to the doctor, or say for instance you got a scooter or a car and your car don't work, and you need to take it to the shop, and your friends, your teammates don't have a car. You can't get help in that aspect. If your car needs to get fixed, we already know those mechanics be ripping you off. So you're not paying for that. For me, my teammate Will Uget, he and Casey Prather, they didn't have enough money to afford to go home. When the holidays came up and we had that break. So it was awesome to be able to share those opportunities for those guys to come with my family and us share the holidays together. But at the end of the day, and they wanted to be with their family at that time. And the fact that these guys starting at this premier Power 5 school, making the school money, bringing fans in, winning games, can't have just a few $100s to get home was kind of ridiculous. But Cam, as being like, now we're like business guys, like, and we've always heard your body is your business as an athlete. If we could have started to learn some of the things that go into business and I've made mistakes along the way, but learn those in a smaller scale, as like in being a student athlete with NIL, it would have prepared us leaps and bounds to where we are now. So I'm super excited that student athletes can start to like be intentional. And not only is your body a business, but now all of you're all a brand. And now you can make money off of it and learn about business in the future. So it's pretty cool.
I just hope those guys that you mentioned are a little more on their feet now, because those kind of stories break my heart of, people who can't spend the holidays with their family. And, when I was talking about you guys being the exact same human, I forgot that you're also both national broadcasters. I mean, Cam has broadcasted the Super Bowl twice this past time in person on the Jumbotron and to the national audience. He's also been a broadcaster for Fox Sports, the Players Tribune, NFL Network, and he's also currently broadcasting games for ESPN. Patric, tell everyone also what you're about to do this season, broadcasting wise.
Wow, that's big time. I'm just starting up. I'm just starting up with the SEC Network, and I'll be a studio host this upcoming season, which I'm pumped about. Definitely can use any pointers you got for me, Cam. I'm definitely nervous. But I just love how what they told me when I went for my audition. It's like, don't try to be like anybody else. Be yourself. Just show your personality. And then
you are the first you.
You are the first you. And once they put the battery pack, gave me the battery pack, I was like, yeah, I got this. But still, I know there's things to learn along the way. But I'm super excited about it, and hope to have that career for a really long time.
Yeah, Patrick, the best thing that I can say really is keep it simple. Keep it simple and really take people places where they can never go. And that's the locker room. That's their experiences, right? And that just be you. Like they said, just be you, and you'll do just fine, right? And also make it simple. Like I said, make it simple where the people can understand, where someone from a different country who knows nothing about basketball, you can make it simple for them. You can take them into the locker room where they've never been before, and I think you'll crush it.
You just reminded me, The Office. Tell me like I'm 5 years old.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how you have to break it down. It's funny because the first time I had a chance to broadcast was the Super Bowl in Atlanta, where I played my high school football at. The Rams were playing. That was the team that I was on, and so I was nervous, right? But a lot of the prep came from reading the beat writer articles. That saved my life. Okay. And then also, too, of course, watching the film. And then lastly, someone said, take the John Madden approach. Make it simple where like little kids can understand, folks from different places can understand. Talk to me like I'm fine. That's exactly how you break it down, and you'll rock it, bro.
Okay. Can't wait.
Well,
the John
Patric,
Madden approach.
You'll be in the studio, so you'll be okay. But I feel like with broadcasting, I mean, so much is thinking on your feet and just staying calm, cool, and collected, because I was lucky enough to go with Cam when he broadcast the Super Bowl in Atlanta. And I mean, the birds had a better seat than he did. They put him, he might as well have been in a blimp. You could not have gotten higher. And they're like, and by the way, call this entire game. And also, by the way, it's going to be broadcast in Europe.
No lie there. Top of the stadium. It was wild. And yeah, Whitney, thank you for that reminder there. And I know that you're in the studio, so it is a different ball game. Same concept though. So yeah, it's you have some stories. You have some stories to add through your experience, and I'm praying that they go pretty well.
Yeah, I was like, Cam, this is his first national, broadcasting a game for the first time. It's a Super Bowl, and they put him in a place where he could not see the game.
Cannot see. Do you have like a TV up in there too? You had to have a TV, like a closer view.
Pat, it was wild, man. Even the replay screen. So we're in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They built a new replay screen, and we're at the very top. We're so high that we're above the replay screen, so we can't even see any of the replays. Like it was tough. It was bad, and so it'll help you grow for sure. It helped me grow, and it's a part of the journey. So I'm excited. And for you, what does the schedule look like? What games are coming up that you're really looking forward to? I know there's probably battles that you've had during your playing days. So yeah, what are you looking forward to this year?
Honestly, what makes I look forward to a routine. That might sound, I guess, boring to some people, but
we want that.
A routine and a flow where I just have it, because I feel as though, and I just know myself, my routine. When I'm in a routine, I'm prepared. I'm taking the steps necessary to make sure I'm doing the job the best. I'm on time. I have a schedule. There's order and structure. I didn't always was an order and structure guy, but once I got a job, like a real job, a big boy job, I was like, okay, time to like, there's no more staying up super late. Not that there's not a time for that, but if I want to be my best, I just love that, me taking that step of creating a really good routine. What I'm going to put in is what I'm going to get out. So doing just the day by day, being able to watch basketball, college basketball again for a living, and like, what are you doing? Watching the game? Oh, you just watch. Well, I am working at the same time. So, and creating the relationships with the college coaches and just being back around the atmosphere. I know a lot of the coaches already that are in the SEC, so that's pretty cool just to create those relationships with those guys. And because I've only was really exposed to Billy Donovan, it'd be nice to kind of create somewhat of relationships with the other coaches around the SEC, and just to see how, because every coach has a different philosophy of how they do things and personality. So it'd be really cool to kind of just start to form those relationships with those guys.
And I'm just curious, what is it like for both of you guys? You talked a lot about routine, which I appreciate, and it's refreshing to hear that honesty. But what is it like going from someone sort of telling you your whole life when practices, when the games are, to now, okay, you get a job and you're into adulthood and on your own? Like, what is that transition like, and what kind of advice do you have for other athletes making that transition? Because no one plays forever.
You want to go ahead with that one, Cam?
Hey, you're the guest, my man. Go ahead and tackle that, brother.
Yeah. I mean, transparently, for me, I know everybody's different. It was tough. It was tough to go from just having this routine and exactly as you said it, coaches and the staff and everyone tell you when to be, where to be, what to do, how to do it, and so forth. And you have like for me right now, my motivation for like continuing to work out at a high level was like, what am I doing this for? Like, I want to be healthy, but I don't need to kill myself, like, because it's been tied around a purpose. Like, I wanted to stay healthy and fit because I want to play basketball at the top level. And now it's just like, why do I want to do it? But understanding, as I've intentionally put people that I want to be like, that inspire me, like the words they say and reading more books and what they do, almost every successful person has a routine. And understanding that you can't fall into anything that you want in life without intentionality. If you can't, I can't just be like, all right, woke up today, I'm going to, I don't know, run a marathon today. And I have like just randomly and never worked at it at all, or whatever it may be. I'm going to write a book. I'm just going to magically write a 600-page book today. What? And just understanding that I want to maximize myself in every part of life. Like, for so long, my identity was just shaped around basketball. It was so shaped around like what I can do in my performance. And like, if I play good, I'm liked and I'm good. If I play bad, then I'm not liked. And it's like, I got tired of that. And it was like, who are you really? Like, I'm sure you can attest to it, Cam. When I started getting injuries and I couldn't work out in the way or do the things in the same way, it was like God was like, okay, so like, who are you now? Like, yes, basketball is the thing I gave you, but without it, it was like a foreshadowing for me of when it's going to happen, when I stop playing, what life is going to be like. And do you still believe that you're loved? Do you still believe you have a purpose? Do you still believe that that I made you for more than just putting the ball in the hoop? And I was like, damn, hell yes, of course I believe that. So every day, just taking a step and enjoying the process, staying humble, continuing to work hard, and just enjoying it along the way. So, no, that's a big answer, but that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Yeah, you mentioned just, from Whitney's question, it being around the schedule, having someone lay everything out for you, and I call that being in Disneyland, right? Where you go to Disneyland, you got things over here, over there, you got a churro, you got the turkey leg. Like, there's so many things that are set up for you that are shiny and new. Once you get out, you're outside of Disneyland. You know what I mean? It's another analogy. It's like almost like all your friends are in the club with the glass window, and you can only look in the club, but you can't get in the club, right? Unless that you work for the team again, unless you jump back into the SEC network, right, and be around the game that you love. So I think that's really cool. And just kind of a tip and advice for people who do transition from the game, right? Even for myself, working at Visa, it's the financial payments industry, right? But I'm doing the best that I can to jump into the partnership for the NFL and for Visa, right? The NFL brought me there. Why not jump back and see how I can support that group to still stay in the game, to build around the game, and also broadcasting the FIU, the men's football game. So really figuring out how to be around what you love without actually being in it, right? You don't have to be in the club to enjoy what's going on in the club. So yeah, it's a true process. And my dad told me this. He was like, Cam, he said, get you a schedule, get you the actual schedule, a planner, a whiteboard with the schedule on it. And that's what I did. And you know what really saved me is Google Calendars.
Yes.
That's where.
Amen. Yes, sir.
I mean, come on, just set your calls up on that. You look at that every day, see what calls you have, see what, Energy Captain's podcast with Pat and Whitney, like it sets me up. And that's something that I really went with, and it helped me stay organized, helped me stay in that time frame of similar to kind of how we were in football and in sports. So yeah, it's a true process, but speaking to people about what they do helps as well, right? Hey, Whitney, how do you do your schedule? Whitney's like, I'd rather do things later on in the day. I'm more productive later on in the day. Okay, well, my Google Calendar is going to reflect, what's going on later in the day. So that's my best advice there.
Yeah. Go ahead, Patric.
You just brought up a point and a thought for me. And now that I've been so much more intentional with my schedule, I'm not that I, want to put a boundary up, because I used to just say yes to everything. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. And I hated not following through. I absolutely hate not being impeccable with my word. Like saying, yes, I will be here for that, and then not doing it. And then with that calendar, it's like, hold on one second. Let me take a look. What about this time? Can we do it that time? Like it's just so much. And then also, I love Jay Shetty. I love listening to his stuff sometimes. He's like, we have an unlimited amount, not unlimited, but within our day and a allotted amount of time. And yes, I'm sure there's a lot of things we can say yes to, but as far as our energy, be intentional and almost like kind of selfless with your energy. I want to put more energy in this part of the day because I'm at my best. Like, so how do you do? I'm usually at my best in the morning. Okay, so let's do something in the morning. Let's do something in the afternoon. Or like for me with the startup now, because just working so much, I'm like, man, when 5 o'clock hit, y'all got the best of me. I'm about to chill.
Yeah.
And you totally need that balance, and you have to be your own bouncer. I mean, Cam and I have worked so much on this because same way. You both have big hearts. You don't want to let people down and disappoint them. But if you're not your own bouncer, people will take advantage. So I have a whole chapter in my book called Energy Vampires and how to deal with them and manage them. And we've talked about, and Cam repeats this now, 0% toxicity in your life. Every person you say yes to must be adding to your emotional bank account or they get punted away. And I think, Cam, you hit on a very important point because no one wants to be defined by a certain part of their life. And I know both of you have, you had great athletic careers and now you're redefining yourselves as businessmen. And so there's an instinct to kind of get away and say, I'm not the basketball player, I'm not the football player. But what Cam hit on is, well, those opportunities put you in a special category. How could you leverage them for business opportunities? I mean, the person who has, a genius at science and gets really great grades, that may help them get into a college. So everyone is leveraging their strengths. Why not leverage your past experience and what sets you apart in your business opportunities?
I like that. And that reminds me of, Patrick, the work that you're doing. You mentioned that alumni can get NFTs. I mean, what does this process look like? How do I sign up? How do we get down for the people that are listening to Energy Captain's podcast? If they want to start an NFT, if they're playing in college or they're former players, my Syracuse folks, how can we get down with what you have going on?
Oh, so it's super simple. So we want to represent every student athlete and alumni athlete. So even if for current student athletes that do get on board and then you turn into graduate, go on to be an alumni, then you qualify for the alumni part. So what we've come to learn, it's not impossible to do it this way, but this is the best way that's fit. If your school has a group licensing agreement in place, which most schools do, it is not facilitating a deal, which is a lot of universities trying to make sure they navigate law correctly, because the wording facilitate, what can that mean? But without a group licensing agreement, an athlete is not going to be able to legally endorse themselves with school logos and marks and brands. So once that's in place, and all a student athlete has to do is sign, it's called a GLA, is sign that group licensing agreement, and then they are qualified for being with Campus Legends, because we're a partner with most of the GLA group licensing agreement groups. And then once they sign that, we direct them to the athlete portal on the website. So fill out your information, who you are, your social media handles. You'll put what years you play, what sport, upload a few photos. At the end, we have to get licensing and approval from your school for the photos you send us. But once we get those, we're able to just do some, and we get the approval, we're able to make an awesome, a beautiful, one-of-a-kind digital collectible that goes live on the marketplace. On the marketplace, think of it like this: like there's an algorithm and a randomized factory that's going to have millions of Syracuse collectibles in there for current athletes to alumni athletes. Because you'll have, like Cam, you'd have like 10,000 of them in there, and then every time there's packages that get opened, like a baseball card package or you don't know what you're going to get. But this algorithm is going to work in a way that even some of those athletes that through the packs, like it's going to do the best it can to make sure everyone is getting that initial just opening the packs. But then there's also going to be like specialty items of an athlete that you can buy individually that will just go for an initial price, and there's the auctions and all that. So it's just really cool. It's super easy to sign up. It takes nothing. It's literally a free opportunity. That's all you have to do is sign up.
Well, what I think is cool too is Cam and I did a whole podcast episode when the NIL stuff became available to current athletes. And, my heart hurt a little bit that alumni weren't able to be a part of it. Like they missed out on the opportunity. And this allows them a chance to take part and to create revenue because those laws were then passed. Like it's not too late.
Yeah, it's not too late. And it's funny you bring that up, because originally that was the vision for Campus Legends. It was to help support alumni athletes. But because that, in the book I love referencing that I read, which is Start With Why, Simon Sinek. And because our why was so strong, like it's the golden circle. There's the why, the how, and the what. It's pretty easy to recognize what a company is doing and how they're doing it. But it's not always easy to recognize why. And because our why was so powerful, and the NIL changes happened and shift and circumstances change, we were able just to take a step back and just pivot. Like, how can we still want to help alumni athletes? We're still going to do that. But the feedback we got back from the market was within the universities was that obviously they want to focus on their current student athletes, because now NIL has become a recruiting tool as well. So it was really easy for us to shift and just create this opportunity that benefits alumni and current student athletes.
Yeah, and Patrick, I want to ask you this too. Just as I'm starting to build my first NFT. I know Whitney has her Tom Brady toss, like she's built her NFT, and I'm sure she's done her research around it. So for these young athletes, men and women who are jumping into this space, what are some of the hurdles, maybe the red flags? I know on Twitter, those red flags are like trending right now. What are those red flags when it comes to the NFT space that they should look out for?
Well, there's a few things you want to look out for. First thing is if you're doing a collegiate one, you want to make sure that company that you might be signing with is an official licensee. Because if they are not an official licensee, it's like, so you got your Syracuse shirt on. If they would blur the S and blur the Nike check and change the color of the shirt. So it's not the Syracuse orange. It's not the orange. And then they put your collectible up and it loses value. And it's just a kind of back way to for a company to, you still kind of like, you still would know, we would still know that it's Syracuse, and kind of just like, doing a knockoff collectibles. It's kind of shady. Also, being wary of signing anything exclusive right now, and reason being, we don't really know where this market is going yet. And no company except we're one of the only, I think we're the only company with digital collectibles out on the market right now. So to sign something exclusive so early before a company actually has credibility in that sense is kind of something you want to be wary of. And also, how are they doing their marketplace? Is this company, are they putting it on something like Open Seas, which is like a little agnostic? Anybody can make their NFTs and put it on that market, or so much like what we're doing, we're keeping all of our NFTs, all of our digital collectibles are staying on one platform, just our marketplace. That way it is so much easier to track revenue and make sure the money is allocated transparently and properly to the athletes, to the school, to us, to wherever, to the fund, wherever it needs to go. Like we never touch the money that goes to the athletes. That through the group rights agreement, they deliver the money by a check or direct deposit or Venmo or whatever at the right time. So those would be the biggest things I would look at.
And I would add that I always, Cam and I have talked about this too, but I say never sign anything that says in perpetuity, which means forever. If a company or a brand is asking you to sign something that says that, it's basically selling your soul.
Yeah, unless in perpetuity they're talking about
something good. Something good or positive.
Unless something good, which is the I don't know how the other companies are doing it. I don't care about what the other NFT companies are doing. We only care about what we're doing. Every single time an athlete's collectible gets traded on the market, whether the primary or the secondary forever, that in perpetuity, they get paid for the rest of their lives. That is you're right about that, because that is something you want to be wary of. Like, here, sign this, what's it called? Power of attorney in perpetuity.
Right. When people tie it to the exclusivity in perpetuity, you cannot work with another XYZ type of company. And Cam and I were saying so much of a part of this whole world and what you learn in the pros is, after college, since he couldn't do NIL deals at the time, is, to have a lawyer read over agreements. And so many college kids now are just signing things. And I think the benefit of having someone like you on board is you're advocating for them and you're a voice for the athlete. So you're making sure everything that they're agreeing to is in their best interests.
Yeah. I think just for in general, and Cam I think you would agree, just like students, anyone, that if you don't know, don't be afraid to ask. If you don't know what something means, the best thing because it's almost in the sense of like you're taking away from somebody, all from yourself, being able to learn more about the situation or whatever, but also an opportunity for someone to teach you. It's a gift to be able to teach something that, because everyone had to learn from somebody something or from a book, but to just go into a meeting or sign something and just go read through it quickly or just shake your head yes, and you don't know what's going on, don't be afraid to ask questions. Even if it's like, hey, I hear you guys are saying all these big words. I am lost. Please say it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Please, what does in perpetuity mean? What does that mean? And you learn, and then you're able to help somebody else, because closed mouths don't get fed, or closed mouths get taken advantage of in that sense. Now, I'm not saying don't be a good listener. Of course, be a good listener and ask questions and don't assume you know everything. But, if you don't know, ask a question. Pride is the worst thing to have. And I think in anything in life, I mean, you want to be confident. I'm not talking about confidence. I'm talking about thinking that you can't learn anything from anybody ever and that you have all the answers. That will not help you elevate yourself in life, because no one has all the answers.
Yeah, and Pat, I agree there. I've been reading this book called Fierce Conversations, right?
Ooh.
And it's in Fierce Conversations, one of the quotes here says, the quality of our lives is largely determined by the quality of the questions we ask and the quality of our answers. I was like, wow, that's it, right? Because if you ask a great question as into, hey, what is in perpetuity? You get the answer as into, hey, I probably shouldn't be signing this unless it's revenue generated in perpetuity. So yeah, those questions are really important. And I want to ask a question in regards to Campus Legends, because I do know the person who started the company, the CEO of the company, is someone who could really benefit from just the NFTs and everything like that. So can you all please just describe what that looks like for the listeners out there?
Oh yeah, that's hilarious that I can't believe it. What's funny is, so when I got the job, I signed on. We were at this person that I'm about to say his name. We were at his foundation, and we were having like our first meetings there. And, Greg is just telling me all this stuff. The CEO, the co-founder, he's telling me all these things about Campus Legends. It's like literally drinking out of a waterfall in that first day, just so much information. And then the next day, I'm pretty confident. And I'm like, hey, Greg, I think I'm ready to give you guys a sample pitch, like my first practice. And this is after 24 hours. And I gave him a pitch. And the first feedback he gave me, he was like, that was great, but you didn't even mention Tim Tebow. I was like, dang, you're right. How can I forget that? And it's like Tim, we can speak so much for who he is as a character and what he's accomplished, but Tim would have obviously killed the game with his NIL. I mean, he's doing fine now, obviously, but the man would probably have the record for most money made if there was a record. He'd be making more than Bryce Young. He'd be making more than the gymnast. There's a gymnast for LSU. She is actually the number one paid athlete right now, which is pretty crazy.
I'm just saying, as someone who went to school the same class as Tim Tebow all the way throughout UF and saw those championships and his character, I mean, he wins in every category of life. And truly, the way people looked at him, it was Tim Tebow and then God. And so everything he did and said sold tremendously. And we had so many conversations. Everywhere you went, you saw something that represented the I Promise speech, the Tim Tebow statue, the jerseys in the bookstore. I mean, everything he touched turned to gold. And you thought, we talked about it so much in that moment. Oh my goodness, the school is making so much money off of him. And you just wish, it's not fair. You just wish he could have gotten this money. And I think I'm proud of the way our industry has evolved, that now, this many years later, which hasn't been that long, maybe a decade, we're at the point where that became a reality.
Yeah. Just imagine though, if you see videos, if you guys ever get a chance, and how crazy it was, people were idolized Tim Tebow for the way he played. He would walk past fans and they would break down in tears, just
the Michael Jackson effect almost.
Michael Jackson effect, Michael Jordan effect, just yes. And that's the crazy thing, with NFTs, if Tim made one and it sold for $1 million, that thing's gonna get traded again and again and again, and he's just chilling. He wouldn't have to do anything. He'd just fold his arms, and what if he got traded every single day? He'd be getting that check every day from that.
In perpetuity, he'd be getting paid.
In perpetuity, exactly. Yes.
Well, and I admire so much about what Tim has done after college too, the broadcasting, the different businesses, and he tried his hand at 2 different pro sports. How many people can say that? But I will say, as someone who went to UF, the people in the Gator Nation who watched him play at our school are his most beloved fans. It's not the same impact, and it wasn't the same success rate when he was in the NFL. And so his platform and time to shine was because of his time in college. So he's a perfect example of showing that you have to capitalize on those college days, because the future is not guaranteed.
Yeah. And even, fortunate for him, his career wasn't sidelined to injuries. But for those athletes that had great careers in college, when you look at CJ Spiller, for instance, one of the best running back. I mean, Travis Etienne just broke his record for rushing yards, but CJ Spiller was my favorite running back coming out of college. He literally just dominated, and then he just injuries sidelined his career. Or even a Bo Jackson, or these guys that had great careers in college, and then for some reason just wasn't able to work it out, because it's especially playing football. If you're playing a collision, you're playing a collision sport. It's these dudes, y'all be hitting.
100% injury.
Everybody's like, why you don't play football, bro? You see how the boys be hitting?
Cam used to tell me
what you talking about?
every game is like getting into a car accident.
Yeah.
That's the toll it takes on your body. I'm curious to pivot a little bit. I mean, both of you were at the top of your game when you played during your different athletic careers. And now, as I told Cam when he got his MBA, you now have the degree that the top people in business have. And the same goes for you. You both got your master's degrees. I don't even have a graduate degree, and I never played a sport and just started out in business. So you guys are really at the top of the top. I'm curious because I see in my business, you hear this misconception that if someone played a sport that they can transition, they're going to be awesome in business. And sure, they're a great leader on the field and that can translate to business. But I find that actually under the surface, there are a lot of gaps between what you know from being an athlete and what you have to know in business. So what do you think that current athletes need to brush up on or kind of start to teach themselves prior to jumping into the business realm?
I'd love to hear your answer on that, Cam.
Yeah. And so that question is very valuable for the people that are listening, especially college athletes or any athlete in general. And the way that I like to explain it, going from sport to business is like going from one team to the next team. And as you know, Pat, if you go from Florida to an Alabama, right, or a Florida State, we don't like Florida State around here, right? But the playbook is going to be different. If someone enters a transfer portal, the playbook's going to be different. So when you go from sport to business, the terminology, the vernacular, it's all different. And a lot of times they say that athletes can transition well because the concepts and what you need to bring to the table, your effort, being on time, like all those things stay consistent. Right. But the terminology and the playbook changes. So really understanding the business lingo, the business terminology, and speaking to people like Whitney or taking classes and getting educated on that terminology. So Pat, I'll pass it to you on your thoughts on that.
I would take you one even further, man. I would say that it's almost like transferring and playing a new sport. It's almost because, you're for me, like, I mean, especially when it comes to getting back to being comfortable with the computer and Excel sheets and email, it's like you're doing like all those things translate: discipline, consistency, communication, hard work, diligence, teamwork, all that stuff for sure. But it's like you are now, like a baby giraffe out there just trying to figure out how do I get in and get my bearings. You ever seen like a football dude that try to come out there and play basketball? He just fouling too much and can't dribble. It's like
that's me.
It looks like, but after time, you do it more and more and more. I'm not saying like, we're not talking about a basketball player going to try and become a diver or gymnastics. It's more like like a basketball, football, maybe like a basketball player trying to play track and field, just something where it's hard, but it's not impossible. Is more so what I'm trying to get at. But as far as important skills to start brushing up on, so I was listening to Andy Frashilla the other day, and I hadn't really heard about him before. My girlfriend, she loves listening to his stuff. He uses a lot of F-bombs, but if you can get past that, there's a lot of great messages in there. And I went back to one of his first episodes back in like 2015, and it was hilarious because he was talking about a Yeti. He's like, have you heard of those things called Yetis? They keep ice for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, yes. But anyways, he was talking about sales in general and how that it wasn't just a conversation about sales. It was about elevating yourself in life into the next level. He was like, help people. If you genuinely take on just helping people, results will follow. Beautiful. If you can, right now, where you are as a student, because you don't know what connections you'll build or who you're helping, who might be your boss one day or business partner. If you literally, genuinely, authentically take on the heart to help people, results will follow, period.
Well, and I think both of you hit on that the intangibles transfer over, but the new playbook involves tangibles. And you have to know, okay, there are contracts in business. You didn't really have to do those before. And before you do anything, it has to all be laid out and people have to sign on the dotted line, and hiring employees or paying them, just kind of the actual writing a resume, the actual physical things that launching an LLC. I mean, Cam's gone through the whole gamut and then went to school for it also, but all of those physical things that they don't teach you because it's not relevant to sports, but that you have to have in place to succeed in business. I think those things are super key.
Yeah, you're right. When I opened my business in Gainesville,
I feel you. We feel that. We feel all that.
Yes. You summed it up perfectly.
Zoning laws, permits, when it came to the contracting for who's paying for what, when it came to renting the location and splitting that up with the owner of the building, and then payroll services and budgets and taxes and what's the W-9, what's the 1099, what is all this stuff? And I jumped in. I signed the dotted line before I should have. Thank God it's worked out for that business I have in Gainesville. But I would, if I could do it again, I would in a heartbeat. I would have stricken myself. I was like, bro, you don't know what you're doing. You're not ready for this. You don't know enough yet. You need more help. You don't have all these questions answered. You don't know what you don't even know yet. And
like you jumped right from summer break to March Madness instead of doing training camp in the regular season.
It's like we jumped in almost to like the playoffs right away. And it's like, oh, we running what? Huh? He can shoot threes. Oh, snap. They're pressing. Oh, what position am I playing? Like, oh, he's my teammate now. It was like if you were in a situation like that and you're just in the game. But thank God for having good part. And you know what? Another piece of advice, great piece of advice. I would say be slow. Be as slow as you. Opportunities are going to come. Opportunities are going to come. Absolutely. If you're not, and there is definitely a part of faith where you take a leap for sure, because on the other side, you don't always know the answers. We don't always know what's going to happen. Like, for instance, the pandemic. We didn't know that 2 weeks or a week before, or a week after I signed the contract for the apartment and our loan, that the pandemic was going to happen. Didn't know that was going to happen. But one thing I could have done a better job with is really knowing my business partner, really making sure we align on the same things. That just because he's a friend or he has a good plan does not mean when blank hits the fan, how are you guys going to handle conflict together? How are you guys going to communicate? It's almost like if you have a relationship partner and you have these like rules of engagement, like, hey, when we have a conflict, we're never going to treat each other this way and say these things. And I'm not saying you have to do that with your business partner, but maybe you have a list of like red flags that show up. Oh, snap. I don't like how he's like talking about doing things, without integrity, or I don't like how, whatever he treats the employees, or he talks down on people, or whatever it may be. You have to be, I don't care how awesome the business deal is money is not everything. Peace of mind and that enjoying what you do and enjoying who you're working with, like that will make a huge difference. Even if you're in a business that might be just barely struggling, if you know that you're in the trenches with somebody that you can you can depend on, and is like a warrior with you, like goodness gracious, you're bound for success at that point. Because the heartache and the pain and the anxiety I felt from previous partners, it ain't worth it. I'm telling you, it ain't worth it.
Well, and Cam and I always talk about this because shit has hit the fan plenty of times in our dynamic. And I always say there's no one I'd want to go to battle with more than Cam. We have stayed so close because first and foremost is standing up for the other person. He's told business opportunities who haven't treated me well, peace out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we have left money on the table. We have walked away from bad people. We have gone through things. And because we support the other person first, it's completely worked out and we've been able to flourish. And, you hit the nail on the head that working with someone is the same as dating. You have to partner with people who see the world the same way you do. You have to find a boss or partner who thinks you hung the moon and vice versa. And so I thought that was just a really beautiful answer. as we wrap up today, because you gave so much good advice, I feel like, just this podcast, you had so many gems in there and are both going to affect so many people through this episode. But I just want to settle the debate. Final question. What is the better basketball school? Is it UF or is it Syracuse?
Syracuse, they have like an average season, and then they'll make it to the tournament, and then they'll make it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight.
Find our way in, huh?
That 2-3 zone, because they always got size. Yeah, I lost when we played y'all.
Rematch.
You only won one chip though with Melo.
How many? So I'll ask this, and of course I'll leave this answer to you because I play football and I know where UF and Syracuse stand in football is nowhere close. UF, y'all take the cake.
That's why I didn't ask that question.
Yeah, even though Syracuse's legacy, we have some of the best players to ever touch the football in Jim Brown. So
that's true.
And Cameron Lynch.
And Cam. And so we'll leave that there. But the question first was for basketball, Pat. Your experience there, you did lose to Syracuse, but I did see on your social media that you had the Michael Jordan ring, right? So, yeah, what was that like for you and those championships? I know you lost a few to Syracuse, but yeah, which one is the better school? Basketball school.
And I'll answer for my tenure. My 4 years overall, we were a better basketball school. We won the SEC regular season 3 years. We lost to arguably one of the best college basketball teams of all time in Kentucky with Anthony Davis, Terrence Jones, Deron Lamb, Marquise. They had a squad. They had one of the best teams ever. Then we went on to win, 3 straight Elite Eights, a Final Four, one SEC tournament, one of the best seasons, winning 32 games in a row my senior year. It was crazy. So it felt great, man. I will never forget those 4 years. That's why I'm like really excited to be attached with Campus Legends and SEC because, like you said, being able to fulfill that passion, it's just in a different way. Hey, I'm sure your body appreciates you not playing football anymore. My body appreciates me not playing basketball anymore. But mentally, I'm just excited to be able to still lock in on the passion of college sports. So I got to be neutral now. I can't say on air we anymore. I got to say Florida. So that might be a little bit of a transition, but it's all right. I'm gonna be tough on the boys. I'm gonna be tough on everybody. I'm excited though. I can't wait.
Well, I think we settled this by saying clearly Syracuse, when Cam was there, better football character. And, we won't go into the record. And then Pat, when you played, better basketball school at UF. I mean, I think that's the only compromise that we can come to here.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited. You guys are best friends. I've waited for this moment my whole life. And my whole life. And I mean, when you were listing out all the things you're still connected with, I don't know how you omitted the fact that now we get to work together and I'm a Gator. I mean, I think that's still obviously the deepest tie that you have and what's keeping you going. But
I still can't believe you did that entire breakout sheet for us.
Oh, yeah.
I still can't believe it.
And
I can't believe it.
For everyone listening, I helped Patrick with filling in some information on this whole spreadsheet. The part he left out was that I got an email the next day that said I deleted every single thing in all 6 hours that you worked on. We were able to revive it, but for a moment there, I think we both had a scare.
Yeah, I had a huge panic attack for a second. Yeah. I'm like, no, because I didn't want to do it.
And I already did it once. I didn't want to do it again. But now that you guys have conquered the sports world, you're conquering the broadcasting world and the business world. I mean, the sky is the limit for both of you. So we'll have to keep having you on, Pat, as a guest, if you'll still come on with us to keep us updated.
Oh, man, absolutely.
And for you guys both to talk about all that you're doing in the business world. So thank you for taking the time, both of you, out of your busy schedules to be here today.